My name is Kashonda Geiger, and I'm a mental health advocate here in Charlotte. I'm starting my own series, The Stay Code, to push the movement of normalizing conversations on mental health and suicide prevention. I'm not sure what will come of this, but we may be able to save a child or adult from deciding to end it all. I have been there, and every person I interview represents a part of my life that enabled me to stay. And I want to share that with you. Their messages, their advocacy, and their goals are all impactful and could be what someone else needs to hear to keep going. This is The Stay Code. Hi everyone, I am here with Will Jenkins, one of the co-owners of Black Market Charlotte, a local art gallery and studio, and we are talking about outlets artistically today. Will, tell us a little bit more about what you do.
What do I do? So I do a lot of different things, but I kind of coin myself as saying I'm a visual content creator. So I work with digital media for creating like anywhere from commercials to photography, creative design and things like that for different brands or whatever, as well as curating different shows and events.
Okay. And what inspired you to become a creative or digital artist?
That's such a good question. Somebody asked me that before and I was like, I wasn't really sure. Like I've been doing photography since I've been a kid, but I didn't really start taking it seriously as a job until about 2011, 2012.
Okay.
When somebody was like, hey, I need you to come take pictures of me doing this on this and whatever. Come travel with me. I'm like, all right, cool. And I just started doing stuff from there.
Nice, okay.
It just kind of blossomed.
And what is your greatest achievement as a photographer or digital artist?
I'll say when I sold my first piece.
Really?
Yeah, so I was in a show what show was it? No, it was a show we did here at the old Goodyear Arts that was on Church Street. Mm-hmm. We did a Mood Black show. I had like these giant 24 by 36 pieces in there, and somebody came and bought 2 of them. And I was like, oh, this feels good. Okay, let me go ahead and keep this up.
And you kept going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you believe digital art can bring on a positive change as far as a positive social change as far as mental health and outlets for people who are trying to discover themselves or bring about more of their authenticity?
I think so. It offers a different way. It offers kind of like a different portrait to a person versus just like your standard paintings and things like that. Wow. I wish I could paint and things like that to bring out my own personal emotions. The actual digital art helps out with kind of sharing the emotion of going to the mind frame of where I am shooting, but at the same time, the person I'm capturing as well. Okay,
and so you're working on a couple of projects where you're teaching people to do some of these things, correct?
Yeah. So I have a program called Project Ruffcut. Essentially what we do is we teach digital arts anywhere from film or photography. I had my first summer camp for high school teens in the West Side over the summertime. I'm actually doing a video production course coming soon, as well as different monthly programs and things here at a Black Market.
And how can someone be a part of that?
Essentially just follow me on Instagram or go to the website projectruffcuts.com. They can kind of keep up with the different classes. I'm doing better about keeping the website updated.
Okay, and are you teaching them from scratch or?
We teach them from a basic point of view. Okay. So essentially it's something that anybody could do. One of the biggest things people are like, oh, I don't have a camera yet, but I want to get one. Okay. I teach stuff that people can use for their cell phones if someone wants to just learn how to do something for the first time, or whether they just need extra skills to add on to it.
Okay. And this episode is about outlets. So how have you incorporated digital art and photography to impact behavioral health? How can it prove to be an outlet for someone within the community?
I'll say I used it. I'm trying to think the best way to explain it. I haven't decided the best way to explain this yet. I use it to push out the way I'm feeling by associating feelings with other people. That's kind of like what I did with my new project now on the Create Happy project.
Yes.
The documentary I'm working on where we kind of talk about mental health with art creatives of color and things like that. Where on my end is sometimes it's tougher for me just to talk about something of my own, but when I talk about to people that have similar thoughts and feelings, we kind of both collaborate with our ideas and thoughts and just kind of push everything out there. And that's kind of how I've been making that my outlet, as in I'm not just sitting there talking in front of the camera, I'm talking with somebody and we're bouncing the way we feel off each other.
And tell us more about your project that you just came out with.
All right, so Create Happy is it's an ongoing documentary. Essentially, I set it to be a year-long process, which I just started in November. So it's going to incorporate a few different things from documentary standpoint to technology at the same time, while discussing and exploring the idea of creatives of color within a creative field. Right now, I just released the first Ruffcut version of it, which will be online hopefully in the next week or two. I need to do a few more edits to it, but I will actually be continuing it off with a new project called Talking Portraits.
Okay.
Essentially, it's going over the fact that an average about 22 to 23% of the people in the creative force are artists of color.
Okay. Yep.
So that means out of everybody from African American, Hispanic, Indian, whatever, we only make up 22 to 23% of the art workforce. So it's kind of focusing on that and just kind of the way people are kind of thinking from it. Essentially, it'll be 22 to 23 different portraits set up in a gallery space, just kind of going over it and telling the story.
Okay, and why did you choose the name Create Happy first?
Create Happy it spawned from about 4 different names.
Okay.
But essentially the last part came from when I was on a rant one day and I was just like, I'm tired of all these people putting up messages talking about in negative space, stuff like that. That's just like counterproductive to what you're doing. If you say you're creating something to get to a better zone, why are you in a worse zone than you were before? Not saying that everybody has to be happy all the time, but more or less you create for a happier outlet, happier look, better look. So that's where it came from.
Do you think art can create happy?
Yeah, art different types of creativity. Anything pretty much can. It's about, while I say creatives is pretty much any type of creative outlet, whether it's, I don't know, you running marathons or something like that. I consider anything a creative outlet.
Okay, well, tell us more about Project Ruffcut. How can we, as a community, assist with that project and getting more people out?
As a community, essentially what I need help with is getting the word out mostly. I have a lot of parents and a lot of teachers that are helping me out with their students and their after school programs. But the biggest thing is consistency among parents. So the biggest issue I had with the summer camp was that a lot of kids were interested, but a lot of the parents were like, oh my gosh, my child needs to do this, and it's free. Mm-hmm. But they weren't consistent enough to say, hey, you need to go to this, or hey, I can't get my kids there, how can you help me out? I was willing to help, like they didn't pay for transportation through the Arts and Science Council, but I had different ideas, of course, of getting people there, whether it's carpools or I would willingly. One parent was like, hey, look, I have to go to work. It's 2 hours before the thing. Can you at least watch my kid for 2 hours? I'm like, cool, I'll do that. Granted, the youngest age is 15, so I was like, nobody younger than that. I'm not a daycare, but still. Essentially, the community can help me out by just pretty much getting the word out.
Okay, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And what would be your message to someone who is interested in doing art or is interested in letting that be an outlet for them? How can they get started, even if it's painting or digital art? How can they get connected or get started?
Essentially, just do it. That's the biggest thing. You can get, if you want to paint, but you feel like you can't afford it, you can get materials from Walmart. Walmart always has sales, paints for like 50 cents. You can find anything out there. Basically, you just have to get started. That's the main point. Get started and get practicing. Everybody says, I never have time to do this. I never know how to do this. I'm like, just do it. That's the biggest thing. And that's why we also created Black Market, is if you have questions and need help, somebody's sitting here. You can come watch somebody paint. You can watch somebody edit a photo. You can watch a filming in process. You never know what's going on here.
Being open to learn. Okay.
And we don't care. We really don't. We don't mind somebody sitting here. It gets quiet. So tell me, why the state code?
The state code actually spawned from a book idea I had. And so STAY stands for Suicide Takes Away You. And the message I had was don't let it. So I wanted to provide a show that just focused on suicide prevention and mental health. And so from the trailer response, I can tell that it's a conversation that's needed. It's a subject that needed to be talked about. So I was really adamant about keeping it called the state code. I just felt like stay was a strong word to use, and because I made the acronym based off of stay, I wanted to make sure people knew the importance of it and how we need to stay to fight and provide suicide prevention programs and continue to show people methods and ways of committing to staying into their health and to their happiness.
So that sounds amazing. Just from watching the trailer and this conversation, I can't wait to see the final project.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you having the conversation with me.
No problem.
All right, and make sure you all support Will by following @CreateHappy on Instagram, and stay tuned for the coming episodes of the Stay Code this spring. Thank you so much.